Now listen guys, it's to no one's surprise that sidearms are very good. You've got top contenders like Drain, the new Dungeon sidearm, Liminal Vigil, which we've already reviewed. Even oldies like Empirical Evidence and the Trials of Osiris Forgiveness. Needless to say, a lot of really good sidearms. However, in our kinetic slot exists one of the best sidearms in the game. Not only on its own, but everything it does synergizes with every build you bring into the game. Now I don't know about you guys, but here recently, especially after the AE changes, sidearms have been feeling really good to me. Most notably because Bungie reduced the airborne accuracy penalty for all primary weapons. Now this is actually separate depending on the weapon type. Hand cannons, as well as sidearms, had a reduction in accuracy penalty by 60%. Auto rifles, scout rifles, and pulse rifles, as well as some machine guns, around 20%, and bows at 30%. Needless to say, guys, all weapons across the board have been feeling really, really good. And if you want a good comprehensive breakdown of AE changes and where they sit, Cool Guy actually made an entire video on this, and it was excellent. Really dials in how much things have actually improved from the previous sandboxes. Now, subjectively, I can just tell you right off the bat that, well, Traveler's Chosen has been feeling phenomenal. There's actually a number of reasons why, though, outside of just the AE changes. Number one, there was a mid-season balance patch that went out in Season of the Haunted. Essentially, they increased the auto-aim fall-off distance by 30% across the board for sidearms. Now, Bungie felt like this was a little too strong, so here recently, they actually reduced the Season 18 aim assist fall-off distance from 30% to now 20%. Now, that's not to say that sidearms still don't feel phenomenal. Some other contributing factors include things like Drain actually getting a nerf, having its zoom dialed down in Season 19 from 14 to now 13. And even though there's a lot of competition amongst other sidearms, Traveler's Chosen, in my opinion, really got ahead of the pack whenever its exotic catalyst was turned into Surplus. Again, originally it was full auto, but Bungie actually gave us full auto as an accessibility feature, and in doing so, they actually gave us Surplus instead on Traveler's Chosen. Now, Surplus is hugely beneficial, especially on a weapon like Traveler's Chosen, considering its exotic trait is feeding you ability energy. You've got Gathering Light, which states that final blows of this weapon grant stacks of Gathering Light, and your alternate weapon action will consume the stacks, granting melee, grenade, and class ability energy based on those number of stacks. Now, each stack of Gathering Light improves the weapon's reload, handling, and target acquisition. So literally just hanging on to the stacks is beneficial. But honestly, guys, you don't even need that. Like if you have a build that you like to utilize, and that's exactly what we're doing here, we're taking advantage of Ahamkara's Spine and Trip Mine grenades and this Solar 3.0 build, and we are constantly spitting out grenades and proxy knives all over the place. Now, Surplus bumps our reload speed, stability, and handling. At one stack, it's like 5 reload, 5 stability, and 10 handling. 2 stacks is 25 reload, 15 stability, and 25 handling. And then at 3 stacks, it's 50 reload, 25 stability, and 50 handling. Needless to say, guys, across the board, if you were to hang on to 3 abilities, which you most definitely can, you're talking crazy stats across the board. Maxed out handling, reload speed being 90, stability picking up from a base of 70 to now 95. So Traveler's Chosen as a standalone sidearm is extremely deadly, and we're not even getting into our builds yet. Now, the weapon's time to kill value is actually really good. At 0.6 seconds, just like other adaptives, you have a very good optimal TTK, although we'll say it's very unforgiving. You have to land 4 crits. It's a good chance you're going to be spamming the sidearm, which is what you see me doing constantly here, but you can stack on Gathering Light, increasing your target acquisition, and just go for that optimal TTK every single time. Its range fall off actually begins around 17 meters, and it also has a pretty decent body shot time to kill value of 1 second. So even if you do miss crits, guys, say you only landed 2 crits and 3 body, that's still a time to kill value of 0.8 seconds. Now, where the weapon really starts cooking is when we start combining it with other weapons and other builds. One of them actually being my favorite PvP grenade launcher, Explosive Personality. Now, I specifically like Explosive Personality because A, it's a wave frame, so you can hit multiple enemies at once. It's also solar, which ties into our Solar 3.0 build here, but more specifically is Disruption Break. Yes, you can get this wave frame right here with Disruption Break. And I know a lot of people look at Disruption Break as a PvE perk, especially against barrier champions, and it does work against barriers, but this is also a trait that works inside of PvP. It cranks our damage up for Traveler's Chosen from 56 damage per crit to a whopping 76 damage per crit. Guys, that is a 35.7% increase in damage inside of Crucible. And I know some rounding numbers there, so probably just 35%. Regardless though, that's hot because other legendary wave frames just got an indirect buff. Dead Messenger got a nerf here recently, and we actually did an entire video breakdown of it. You could still make it work, but its damage overall is substantially less than what it was was and less than what other legendary wave frames can do. And secondly, because of this, you now have the ability to land a single wave frame shot, do 131 damage, and then follow up with 1 crit and get the kill. This is such a difficult combo to counter. It's infuriating. And we haven't even gotten to the fact that we're throwing trip mine grenades everywhere. Now, increase in body shot goes from 37 per body to 55 per body with Disruption Break, so it's just easy cleanup. You land 131 damage, even if they're outside of your range and you have damage fall off, a couple body shots and you get the kill. If you get the timing of this down correctly, you're talking about a TTK value of pretty much instant to 0.2 seconds. There's a reason why I get back so much when I use this. It's because it's working. And then we're not even including things like Radiant, which also gives us an extra 10% more damage. Our body shot damage goes up to 60. Our crit shot damage goes up to 83.6. Now, is this extra damage necessary? No, not really. But again, where this becomes beneficial is outside of the range that Traveler's Chosen can reach, you start to run into damage fall off. And the beautiful thing here is that Disruption Break extends that lethality. Now, base Disruption Break lasts for 5.5 seconds. Now, for my PvE players, keep in mind that Disruption Break is actually a 50% buff to your kinetic weapons when you proc it. But again, it's around that 35% mark inside of PvP, which is still plenty enough damage here, guys. Every single blast of explosive personality is landing that entire wave frame and eating off the shields. Now, I will say the Guardians that do avoid this are ones that are rocking like overshields. Like if there's someone behind a Sentinel shield, it may not be enough damage to actually break their shield. Because again, it's the white part of a Guardian shield that has to be broken. When you enter that red, that's when Disruption Break procs, which is roughly 100 to 105 damage. Now, let me bring up the build that we're utilizing here. And yes, there will be a dim link here. This is one of my favorite builds. It's not like we haven't used it before, but Ahamkara Spine on Hunter is like one of the best ways you can control 6v6 matches. And you can do the exact same thing even inside of Trials. It comes with the exotic perk Wish Dragon Teeth, which increases trip mine grenade duration and blast radius. And I'm talking major girth here, fellas. Ability damage also grants trip mine grenade energy, and that's any ability damage, which is why we're rocking explosive knives here. That lands, that procs Wish Dragon Teeth, contributing to more trip mine grenade energy. Now keep in mind, guys, Ahamkara Spine actually has fastball intrinsically. You do not have to rock fastball. And there's a lot of different metrics here, but Dim actually lists them all out, and it states that the trip mine grenade damage with Ahamkara Spine has 40% increased explosion damage, and also the explosion length and width are increased to 14 meters. My favorite thing though is that trip mines don't do self damage. So if you have to unicorn that Russian Guardian, you're fine, man. It won't hurt you. It lasts also for 30 seconds, which is such a long time. And the durability is increased to 100 HP with 50% damage resist. Also, Ember of Ashes allows each trip mine to count as 2 instances of solar ability damage. This is contributing to you getting that trip mine grenade back even faster. Now, considering you actually have fastball intrinsically, you could pretty much double up on other mods like double grenade kickstart or even double impact induction. However, kickstart is just free grenade energy, guys, for just simply throwing your grenade. And to add even more to the trip mine madness, I rock double bomber perks and max discipline. Now, for my subclass itself, we have Ember of Ashes, which again allows us to stack on more stacks of Scorch. We just talked about how Ember of Ashes allows each trip mine to count as 2 instances of solar ability damage. Also rock Ember of Searing, which grants us melee energy when defeating scorched targets. Ember of Torches, so that our melee attacks will proc Radiant for us as well as our allies. And Ember of Singeing, which states that our class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. And you can see how much like scorch damage is being done here when a trip mine grenade goes off. Again though, it just gets Guardians pretty much to one shot. But the beautiful thing about that damage tick is you're tracking that Guardian. You get that damage tick off, you know where they're running, and you can easily clean them up. Now the final fragments, considering we're rocking Knock 'em Down as well as On Your Mark, your 5th fragment can be whatever you want. Like if you're rocking explosive personality and you're going for those solar weapon kills and you want to extend radiance, rock Ember of Empyrean. However, if you want to see those explosions upon super kills, rock Ember of Blistering. You also have Ember of Solace, which extends radiant, as well as restoration effects applied to you. Survivability fragments like Ember of Tempering, which by the way increases airborne effectiveness. Multiple options here, guys, and I'm really just leaving that final fragment completely up to you. But the gameplay loop here is very simple. You throw a trip mine grenade down, you throw a proxy knife down somewhere, you start dealing damage, and all of this is going to contribute back to your trip mine. Do a dodge, you're rocking double bomber perk, which is feeding you more grenade energy. You've got double grenade kickstart, which is proccing from just simply throwing your grenade. And you can see when you combine this with max discipline and all the different things with Solo 3.0, it's just trip mine madness. There are a lot of really good players in the game, guys. And with things like skill-based matchmaking, if you are constantly getting pushed up against harder and harder players, you've got to find ways to outthink them, to outmaneuver them. And honestly, for me, guys, this build has been doing that. It zones things off really, really nicely with these trip mine grenades that last forever. It does incredible amounts of damage and scorch, making everything easy clean up. And the combinations of explosive personality, being a wave frame, proccing disruption break, and the easy cleanup here with Traveler's Chosen. And again, just consuming those stacks will grant you even more ability energy back. Now, can you use another grenade launcher? Absolutely. For the longest time, we used to use Truth Teller. You can actually get a Truth Teller with disruption break, and we did a combination way back when. It was like Last Word and Truth Teller together, and it was deadly. But the thing about normal grenade launchers, and I'm not calling them skillful, but you do have to be more skillful than you would with the wave frame. A wave frame is easy. Literally just look where the Guardian is, see where they're gonna fall, and place the grenade launcher shot right under them. It does massive amounts of damage and procs disruption break. But if you would rather use a regular grenade launcher like Empty Vessel or even Truth Teller, by all means, go right ahead. They too have disruption break present on both of those, and you can do the exact same thing there. All in all, guys, Traveler's Chosen this season is performing a lot better. Surplus is extremely nice on it, and with the AE changes out now, I feel like I can take to the air with even more ease with these sidearms and shred those shotgun rushers. So guys, give it a go. A link to this build will be down below, and if you have any other build suggestions, feel free to comment them. We're actually thinking about doing, like, occasionally between all of our build videos, a subscriber featured build, which I think would be really cool. Just one of those that you guys recommend, and we just run with it, whether it's PvP or PvE. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.